Welcome back to sketch number 8. It's Tanya again, and would you look at this sketch? It is fabulous. What I did is I flipped it on its side to the left there, as you can see. It just was going to work better with my photograph, the orientation of my photograph, but would you look at all those layers of paper? Oh my gosh, are we going to have fun making this layout? And this is the layout I came up with. The photograph is once again from that day where my niece had her birthday, and this is my oldest daughter Jessica. She has a massive love for reading and had a wonderful time just lying there with a little sausage dog and her book. I flipped the sketch, but the rest of it is going to be quite literally what we have there. I am going to do that giant flag, and then I am going to create the shapes from the sketch. Most of them are rectangles in various sizes, and I'm going to place them behind each other and get my design going that way, and then once I've done that I can get on with the rest of my layout. This type of sketch gives a person the opportunity not only to use a lot of different colored pattern papers, but it also gives you that opportunity to use up little scraps that you may have. When I create layouts, I very often get bits of pattern paper left over, as you can see on the left hand side, and yes, it's an ideal opportunity to use a lot of those up. Another great use, of course, for little scraps of paper is backing one's photo. You can do a tremendous amount of layers that way, and yeah, that can look very effective. So I'm just trying to get the right size that I want for my large rectangle piece of paper. If you look back at the sketch, there are a number of layers behind the photo, including a very large one which takes up most of the left hand side of the background paper, but I opted not to do that because I really like this pattern paper that I'm using as the background. It's very neutral and extremely pretty and ties in nicely with all these papers. That actually is a nice, or I find a very useful thing working with kits, or you know, if you make your own kit or if you purchase pre-made kits, is that all the pattern papers are already designed to work so well together. So this kind of sketch can be super fast and easy because the color coordinating has already been done for you, so really all you need to decide is what sizes to cut the paper into, and if you have a sketch like this one, you already know pretty much what it needs to be. So yes, what I am doing is putting in, again, as I said, the scraps and just lining them behind the papers and giving borders to some of them. And that one piece of paper, actually, you see there, I had cut out of it, but you would never know because it's just going on there, and that little gap is going to get covered up by one of my other pieces of paper. So yeah, you can go wild with this kind of design and put layer upon layer upon layer, and as long as it looks good to your eye and all the colors coordinate, you just can't go wrong. I'm now going to work on my title. This is pretty much what I normally do when I'm scrapbooking with a sketch or without a sketch. I will place my photograph and either mat it or layers behind it, and then I'll work on my title, and then once I've got my title down, then I will do all the rest of the embellishing. And yeah, I am using some of these Amy Tangerine words, and I'm going to have a title which mainly reads For Real, but now I'm looking to see what others I can go, because I knew this little die cut pack had a lot of elements in it to do with a good book and things. I have an idea this is, I think this is a Paige Evans die cut collection, or else it's a Pink Fresh Studio. Again, I apologize for not knowing all of the details of the products that I'm using. I'm sure you must know, you know, you stick it in your stash and then you kind of forget. But yes, I'm going through it, and it's got, I actually think it is Pink Fresh Studio. It's got a lot of really lovely phrases in it, and flowers and leaves and things, and I'm just going through finding anything that I feel is in the same color and has a sentiment that I like and is going to work well. And so you see, I'm just going through again the 3x4 cards because I want to, perhaps I'm thinking about perhaps doing a little bit of journaling on them, and as I said in sketch number 1, I do often use my 3x4 cards for journaling. So now I'm just putting it all around to see. I find it easier to work when I have a relatively limited supply, and I've got it all out there that I can look and determine what I want to use. And yes, I'm just showing you that I did sew around all of my shapes, and yes, I always take some washi tape and stick everything down on the back to make sure that it all stays together. And yeah, my sewing is never very good, but I do enjoy doing it. And these frames, I just enjoyed this so much because it frames Jessica and the little dog, and it draws your eye to it, and it goes very well with the shapes of the papers in the background. So yeah, frames can be a fantastic embellishment to use. You can even, what you can do with frames is you can put them on and you can put little clusters of embellishments inside them and dot them around the page, or you can use them behind your photo and let them peek out. You don't actually have to use them as a frame. That's what I find with a lot of embellishments, is you can repurpose them. I'm going to do that here. In fact, I'm going to cut around. I liked what it said on there, but I wanted it like a tab. In the end, I actually do cover that up, sadly, because I decided something was better. But that's just the way it goes, doesn't it? You audition all sorts of things just to see if they'll work. And this little phrase ties in beautifully because it says, "I love a good story." And that definitely ties in with what I'm scrapbooking here, and that is Jessica's love of reading. So now that I've got my title and I'm happy with that, I'm going to look at all the little bits that I took and put and set aside and see which ones I want to use as my embellishments. Clustering flowers and leaves is incredibly easy because they always seem to look so well, so pretty together, that you really don't need an awful lot of skill to be able to do this. It's a case of putting a leaf and a flower and you think, yeah, that looks good. And you would have seen I cut that leaf in half on the left hand side. That was because A, I wanted to use it somewhere else, and B, it was easier to tuck behind the photograph. And yes, I thought I would get inspired, and because I wanted to put a bit more of this color from that Amy Tangerine word, I thought I would take my little heart punch and punch out a heart. I battled though because there wasn't enough of the material to get a really good heart, but I managed it, and I'm going to just dot them around, and that's again in my groupings of 3. So I've got the for real, and then I've got the 2 hearts in that color, and it does that triangle of color, and it's the same elements, material I should say, rather, sorry, it's the same material. So yeah, that's a really good design style to remember. And now the fun part starts, and that is taking all these pretty embellishments that we love so much and putting them around the page. I was going to try and get 3 of those buttons on, but I just couldn't get the 3rd one to work, so I end up with 2, which I'm gluing down now. Just for interest's sake, that is a fine liner bottle, and in it I have Tombow Mono Multi Glue. It's the green capped one, and it works a treat. I use it for pretty much sticking everything down that I don't use my ATG gun for. And I've got some puffy stickers on here. Basically what I'm doing is adding embellishments primarily for their color and their shape, and again I'm doing my groupings of 3, or the triangle of 3, and I am pleased I had forgotten that I did actually get that little 3x4 card that I cut out originally. I do end up using it, so that was good. I think I mentioned it in my first sketch that I really do enjoy repurposing die cuts. Very often they are a little too big or they don't fit, and I am going to battle a bit to get this one under there, primarily because of the sewing. But yes, I like to repurpose things and fit them in a way that it works for the story that I'm telling, and that's why I did that with the heart. There was a little plant underneath that on that hanging part of the frame, but I put the heart over it because I liked the color. I wanted to bring in a bit more of that orange, and I am then going to get a sticker that goes over because the sentiment on the heart isn't quite what I want, so I'm going to change that up a bit. And yes, I am faffing around with the hearts again. It's really shape and color and size that I'm going for. So I've got clusters going on the left hand side and the right hand side, and I've got the repetition of hearts and I've got words around the place. So yes, it's all tying in, and it's all repeating elements to make it look cohesive. And I am looking to see if I can get a phrase for underneath my title, because I like to have quite a few words on my page. I might not journal a lot, but I do put phrases down that tie in with the theme of what I'm going on here. And I get 3 words down here. They're going to say snapshot, documented, and today, because that is what I was going with. And yeah, here you go. You can see that I'm going to stick on these little words or phrases because I wanted to cover up what it was said on that heart. And that ends sketch number 8. I look forward to seeing you again in sketch number 13.